fate. What is up, bros and hoes? It's Ashley OpTic MiDNiTE, and today we are doing a podcast. I've done a few podcasts in the past, which we'll talk about, but today is the start of something new. Today is the start of Power Down. I'm Ashley, aka MiDNiTE, OpTic MiDNiTE, however you want to look at it. And next to me, I have Amanda the Jedi. Do like a little intro of yourself.
All right, so I'm Amanda the Jedi. I make YouTube videos, but I also do a lot of Twitch streaming as well. I do some videography here and there, but I'm pretty basic person, just keep it humble.
Do you feel weird like introing yourself?
Every now and again.
Because like I've done like in real life interviews where like they don't really know me, so they're like, okay, so what explain for this interview, what do you do? And I'm like, I play video games and I like pizza. Like, what do you want me to say? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of awkward to intro yourself. But this is Amanda. I'll tell the story of how I found you on the internet and how this is happening. But yeah, I view her as like, I don't even want to say up and coming content creator because I feel like you're not really up and coming. You've been doing your thing, right?
Been doing my thing, slowly gaining some traction.
Yeah,
but up and coming is a good word for it, I guess.
Yeah, so we decide. Well, I've always wanted to do a podcast, and if you've been tuned into my channel for a super long time, you know that I've done a few. I've been on a few. I've been on PK, been on PTFO. I was on the Bad Kid Cast when that was a thing. I was on the OpTic Hour back when it was called the OpTic Hour. Now it's called the OpTic Podcast, and it's done in person. So I've done a few, and I've also started my own a few times with some friends, and they always didn't work out because people either like something like I knew we were trying to live stream one at one point, and we kept getting DDoS, which kind of just like fricked everything up for everybody, kind of threw off the vibes. But it's hard to get people to sit down and talk to you every week at the same time and be dedicated and into it. But that's why I kind of thought Amanda is like a really good, I guess, candidate to have her on the podcast because she's pretty good at talking. I'm pretty good at talking. It's going to be kind of interesting because we're both are we both kind of people that just like never shut up?
While you are talking, I'm learning not to talk. So
you're like, don't say anything, wait your turn. I'm the same way a little bit. I mean, I feel like I can sometimes be pretty reserved and be like, okay.
Oh yeah.
Like, especially if they're like telling a story and I'm like, yo, dope. But I have to like resist being like, oh my God, that reminds me. And then I want to talk for 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I've had like meetings where someone will ask me like a question and they're like, okay, so what do you think about doing this? And I'm like, okay, well, this is great. And here's why. And here's what I think about it. Oh, and that reminds me of this and this and this. And I'll go on for like 4 minutes straight of trying to like, basically answer their question 50 different ways.
Yeah.
So that's like a little intro of the podcast. Now, why are we calling it Power Down? And how often are we going to be uploading it? These are all questions we're about to answer. Why do we have Power Down? I feel like you're kind of in charge of the name.
Yeah, I can answer that one. Okay, so basically, MiDNiTE was talking about on stream, she wanted to do a podcast, and I jokingly said, yo, hit me up, and then she was like, but actually.
No, dude, okay. Dude, I'm going to interrupt you again. I actually thought of you for the podcast because I was talking about doing one on stream, and you weren't at my stream, and one of my people, D-Lance, in the chat was like, I think Amanda the Jedi would be a really good candidate for that. And I was like, bro, he's so right.
Save it.
But yes, shout out to D-Lance. But so what were you going to say as far as like naming it though?
Yeah, so like when we get into it, you were like, you gave me a couple ideas for names, but we probably could have used one of them. I'm not even going to say it because if people start being like, oh, that one was way better, you should use that one. We're just going to leave it. But we found out that like 2 or 3 people had used it over the years, even though they basically made like one episode and then abandoned it. So we started like asking a bunch of people, and we got a lot of really good suggestions from both of our streams. But then in one of the Twitter chats I'm in, I was just like, yo, bros, things that are vaguely related to gaming, but podcast titles. And then one guy just chimed in, he was like, Powered Down.
That's like, so cool, though.
I'm going to pass that one along. And then it just slowly built, and we were both like, yes.
Yeah, because the idea for it was not to be like a gaming podcast, even though we are going to talk a lot about gaming, and we are both from the gaming community, specifically, would you consider yourself from like the Call of Duty community?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
So I wanted something like that, like a Call of Duty or gaming phrase that is easily recognizable, but also something that's easy to search. If you're like Power Down episode 75, hopefully we get that far, like you're gonna be like able to find it. It's gonna be something awesome for doing that. But I think it's a good name because it kind of like I think about at the end of the day when I'm done editing or playing games or whatever, turning off my monitors, turning off my console, powering down. It kind of makes me think of like chilling out. And also, here's what we found from Googling. Power down is actually a challenge from Black Ops 3. And you guys know from my channel, I did all the challenges in Black Ops 3. And it's the challenge where you have to destroy all the power cores, which is very hard because nobody used them. And I remember it being difficult. So that's the name. I'm really happy with it. Hopefully you guys like it.
I think it's good.
Shout out. What was his name again? Who thought
Brody.
of it? Brody. Shout out to Brody. He's the one that suggested it. And I'm really excited about it. So what else about the podcast can we intro? We're going to have guests. Potentially one other guest, potentially multiple other guests, depending on how we want to have it on or how we want to have it go. But as far as doing like these first couple episodes, I think it's important to just have us both doing it for the first few, just so we get into the vibe of it, and then we can start seeing if we want to have some guests on. So if you guys have any ideas for who we could solidify as a guest, please let us know in the comment section. And I'm super excited to do that. I don't really have any questions. I was going to maybe tweet out like, hey, do you have any questions, Twitter, for our first podcast? But I'm not really sure like if that's the way we should go for this one. I feel like we should intro each other more. What is one thing that you're kind of focusing on as far as content creation goes right now?
Right now, honestly, I am all over the place, but it's in a good way. It's a structured chaos. Like a month ago, I was sent to California to film a Super Smash Brothers event. So I have to spend a bunch of time editing all those videos because we got footage for like 3 different videos. So I've been constantly in a cycle of editing, showing it to them. So
you're in like the Hitch groove?
I'm
as
trying
far as
to
that goes?
Yeah, but I'm not anywhere near as talented yet. But I'll get there.
Hitch is so cool. We should have him on.
I really want Hitch on.
He's actually like so cool. I'll tell you the story of how I met Hitch. But I'm gonna let you finish.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. And then you have to tell the story of how you found me. You were going to do that. And so we'll get into
actually involves Hitch too.
Exactly. So it ties together.
Yeah.
But so that's like one of the things I'm focused on. I also try to focus on streaming quite a bit. I was doing daily streams, but I had to slow down on that just to make some of these commitments because like somebody's going to fly you out to California. If you guys don't know, I'm from East Coast Canada. It's a pretty long trip. You want to make sure that you get
Didn't you have to take like 5 flights or something?
It was like 3 flights there, 3 flights back, but it was like 15 to 16 hours of traveling.
I'm internally dying when you say that. Do you know how much I hate flying?
I actually like flying. I just don't like the really long waits. But so that's one thing I'm focusing on, and then the streaming, and then on top of that, my YouTube channel. The content itself, I'm kind of keeping most of the gaming content related to like stream highlights because I find that a lot of times if I just do straight up gaming videos, they're not always like super well received. So I just kind of turned my own channel more into just like, I don't even know anymore. It's just anything that seems like a good idea at the time goes up on my channel. And that's pretty much it. So.
That's the way to do it, to find what sticks too. Like personally in my channel, like it's definitely at its lowest point that I've seen it. And I think the Call of Duty community and like just where that is right now is at its lowest point.
It's in a weird place
too, which is I've done a lot of non-COD videos over the years, but it's like definitely fair to say I am a Call of Duty based channel. So it's kind of a weird time right now. Like I'm super just kind of banking on the next one being like really good, or not even really good, just a lot of people more interested in it because there's just not a lot of interest in Call of Duty.
There's a lot of negativity towards it right now too.
Yeah, and it's really like weird too, right? Like everyone's being kind of toxic about it. Like like the
COD community is like eating itself.
It really is. And like I posted like an Infinite Warfare video and like not all the comments are like this, so I shouldn't take it so harshly, but this guy's like, wow, unfucking sub. I know Activision's paying you to do this and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all right, man, like I'm just trying to do my thing, dude. Like I really am.
Don't get people. Like anybody who does anything on any game that isn't like wildly received as being popular, they're like, you're getting paid for that.
Seriously. And that's like kind of and there have been videos where I've done like sponsored videos, right? But you have to, as we learned this last year, you have
You
got
have
to
to
tell
do
people that you're doing sponsored content legally. And it's really important for, I think, the relationship between you and your subscriber base that you are honest about that. I mean, even
Definitely.
if legally you don't have to, morally you should, right? So
Yep.
that's kind of the way I look at it. And this actually kind of, well, I was going to say this transitions easily into what I wanted to talk about with the Twitch streams, and then you're able to buy games off of Twitch, like off of streams. It just came out today.
It did.
So it's literally like there's going to be like a little bar, a little section underneath the person's stream, I guess, that says, I mean, I don't think that Call of Duty is a part of this right now, but just for like example's sake, we're going to just say it is. It's going to be like, oh, look, MiDNiTE's playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. Buy Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered right now, and it supports MiDNiTE. And they're like, well, I was going to buy this anyway. I might as well buy it on MiDNiTE's page and support her. And then the streamer, I think it's like 5% of that sale or whatever.
For partnered streamers.
The
links are going to be on everybody's channels, but it only benefits partnered, which is like, I get it. That's totally fine. I'm not like, but no, like.
Well, that's the way it kind of has to be, I think, because
you can't just give money to.
Well, yeah, if you don't have that structured, like, you know, if they're not considered like an independent contractor for you, you can't really pay them. Like, how does that work?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
That's definitely really interesting. Like, I don't think there's a lot of I don't think poorly of it. I don't think there's a lot of negatives to it.
No.
5% isn't that much, especially like if you look at some of the games that there are actually a part of this thing. They're like PC games, like, you know, like the $20 PC games or something like that. So
Ubisoft is there though, so that could be like Assassin's Creed games.
That's big. Ubisoft does a lot of stuff.
They do.
And I feel like would that be weird? I mean, there's already streamers that do like sponsored ad streams. Like I've even had companies approach me, say, oh yeah, stream this game, we'll give you X amount of dollars, or we'll give you this amount of things for your stream. And you have to like disclose that. But now is it this kind of thing where people are going to be like, well, you're only playing this, so we buy it and you get a freaking cut. Or
I think the way that they're going to get around that is because it's on everybody's channels. So you can be like, oh, you go down to Joe Blow's, you know, other stream down the road who's not partnered and has, you know, like what he just started streaming today, and that link's still underneath him. Like it's everybody. So they can't,
it's not like
there's no way that you would need to disclose it. The most you could probably do is like, if somebody, I know when I play H1, people are like, oh, how much is this? The easiest thing you could do now would just be like, oh, just down below, just click on the link and it'll let you know exactly how much it costs in your area.
Yeah, like that's like the best way to do it. And also another way that it could benefit streamers is if you were to take, I'm sure there's going to be some kind of track being, you know, kept about what you're selling, how much you're selling or whatever, if it becomes that big of a thing, where other companies that maybe aren't a part of this is where I'm starting to wonder like how it's going to affect those relationships. Like let's say, just for an example, just an easy example, like Call of Duty comes to me, hey, Ashley, we want you to do XO stream and we'll give you this amount of dollars. Well, what kind of, how do we reach that deal? And then I could take these numbers from these other games that I've sold and show them and use that to kind of negotiate that deal. Yeah. So there's a lot of interesting ways it could work. I'm not opposed to it, obviously, because it doesn't hurt me. It doesn't, like if someone wants to buy a game and I get 5%, like sick, dude.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like that doesn't hurt me at all. So I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that they're going up against Steam in a way, right?
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of have that mixing, because it says you can either download it from the Twitch launcher, which is going to be like a new program available, or existing launchers like Uplay. So I don't know if Steam counts as a launcher. So I don't know if there's a chance that it'll like say H1Z1 ends up on that list, and when you click it, is it going to redirect you to H1Z1, or is it going to, like a Steam link for H1Z1 or what? So it's like,
that's an interesting way to look at it, because I don't know. We don't know how it's going to work yet. This is like literally just came out today. So we're just kind of talking about like what's what with it. But I think it's really interesting. And obviously if it supports streamers, like I think that's a really cool thing. But I'm wondering if it would it eventually lead to no sponsored streams on Twitch? How does that work? There's already some interesting guidelines for doing that, you know? So I wonder if that would affect it at all. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's go back to how I found you on the internet. This gigantic place. How did I find a brand new podcasting partner?
Yeah.
I found you on Twitter, and our boy Hitch. Man, maybe I should edit this though and like put in the video or maybe like somehow linked to it. I don't know. But Hitch retweeted this tweet. It's a video of Amanda. Well, you explain it. You're way better at explaining it than me.
The video itself?
Yeah, just explain the video. You don't have to show the video, but just explain what happened.
Okay, so basically, I'm Canadian. We love our Tim Hortons. We're just going to segue with that. So I'm also Canadian, so we have a lot of snowstorms, at least where I live. And this was one of those days. It was the first really bad snowstorm of the year, and I had to work. So I started driving to work, and the roads are terrible. People are driving like idiots. Almost everything's closed except where I work. So, but most things are fine. Like, like your McDonald's are open. Most of these places are all open, but like almost half the city is without power. Dang. But I'm thinking like most of these places are okay. Like I'm driving past all these things in different convenience stores on the road. Everything seems okay. So I get into the Tim Hortons parking lot, and they have this giant billboard in the way of the drive-through that just says like closed. No. And I was like, no. And I noticed that as I was on the way there, half of the intersection lights were out, but my brain didn't associate that. I was like, okay, so there's like a little bit of a power outage over here. I've never seen a Tim Hortons without power.
Right.
Ever
like,
in my life.
Yeah.
When all else fails, the Tim Hortons
it's got to be open.
It's got to be there. So I just remember I'm like so defeated because I'm exhausted, and there was nothing, like we didn't have power, so I couldn't make anything beforehand to bring with me. So I was banking on this, and I just pull up my phone and I just start yelling at my phone basically.
She was fucking lit, dude. Sorry, I guess we could swear on the podcast.
I was trying not to, but it's
one F word isn't gonna kill it.
It's true.
But she's like, were you Snapchatting or what? Or just a Twitter
video? I thought
video?
I was Snapchatting, but I was doing a mix. Half of the stuff that I complained about was in Snapchat form, but then that really long one that like Hitch retweeted was I just decided to take a video specifically for Twitter, and
she's just raging. She's explaining the situation in like 10 seconds, which is hilarious, and she's progressively getting more angry. Yeah. And for some reason, I saw that and I like favorited it or something. I didn't even follow you right away. I was just like, oh, that was funny. You know?
You commented. You were like, oh, this is funny, and I was like, oh god.
Did I follow you?
No, you didn't follow me until I came into your stream, like, I don't know, like a month later with a Hitch raid.
I remember seeing that, and then Hitch raided me fast forward a month, Hitch raided my stream. Shout out to the gang. Yeah. Team Summertime. Shouts out. Okay. But we got raided by Hitch, and I was like, oh my God, MiDNiTE Mafia, hide the stash. We're getting raided. And I see Amanda the Jedi, and immediately I'm like, oh my God, you're that girl that got really mad that one day.
You specifically said you're that girl who made the video about getting angry at Tim Hortons, and I was like, yeah, that was me.
Yeah. Well, and also I actually kind of skipped over a part. After I saw that video of you being really mad, I watched Hitch also, I think around that time retweeted like you were reacting to Vision because it was one of the like really prominent episodes. Yeah,
he had asked everybody to react to it, and I think I'm the only one who actually ended up doing it, and he just liked the video, and that sent a bunch of OpTic fans my way.
Yeah, and it was like she was watching. I forget which Vision it was. Do you remember? It was something where something really
right
big happened.
After Worlds. It was. It
like
was that one. It was that one. It
really?
was like
it was that long ago.
Yeah. Well, I think you must have. I think you found it after.
Oh yeah. Maybe that's it. I don't know what I found, but she was watching Vision, and it was so fire that her fire alarm literally was going off while she's trying to make a react video, and she's like,
one of the dryers caught fire above me.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Yeah, that's wild. But yeah, Hitch is a really good guy. The first time I met Hitch, I don't know if he would be mad that I'm gonna tell this story. I really hope he's not. Hitch, I'm sorry if you're mad. I'm telling this story though. It's funny. I think it's funny.
He's told the worst story about himself. Everything's fine now. So
yeah, basically. So I met Hitch at MLG Anaheim 2004. No. Yeah, 2015, 2014. I don't know. It was when Ghost was out. So yeah, it was the Ghost Anaheim event. And I'm there, and he just walks up to me. I feel like I'd heard of him before. I'm not sure, but he walks up to me and asks if I want to be on an episode of MiDNiTE, because I think he was working for, was it UMG or G Fuel at the time?
I think it was one of those G Fuel at the time when he was doing MiDNiTE.
Yeah, so he's like, hey, do you want to be on MiDNiTE? Also, can you, we start talking more, and he's like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but do you remember Talon Hitch? And I'm like, that sounds really familiar. What is that? And he's like, well, back in the day during Modern Warfare 2, I paid 1,600 Microsoft points to add you on my Xbox friends list. Because back then, sell out little OpTic MiDNiTE. That was like a really popular thing. Do you remember? I don't know if you were around back then, but do you remember people doing that? Like, I'd have kids all the time giving me Microsoft points to add them, which looking back now, I cringe super hard about. Like, I think about it and I'm like, wow, what an asshole. Like, I literally charge people Microsoft points to add me. Like, it's so cool.
Jeez, anything
but so many, well, people would literally send me the codes.
I know.
They literally, like, he literally just YouTube messaged me, here's a code, I'm Challenge Hitch, if you want to add me, that's cool. And I was like, hey. So I added him. And it's kind of funny because there's actually like a video of, which is also really cringe. You got to think about like 2010 YouTube is way more cringe than it is now.
Oh, it's way different, yeah.
So I made a video back then of me going through my friends list, explaining my friendship or affiliation to each person, which it was really awkward when I got to the kids that paid to be on my friends list. But I like went over Hitch's name and I'm like, oh, this is Talon Hitch. I don't really know this guy, but he's cool. And so, like, I didn't even know, but he was there. He is standing in front of me. He's like, that was me. This is pretty crazy. And I was like, yo, fam, you're cool as F. Let's definitely do mean. Because I'd seen mean tweets. I knew he was the one doing them. So I was like, let's definitely do mean tweets. And it was a really good time. So that's how I first met Hitch. Technically, we met in 2010 on the Xbox Live friends list situation. But then in person later. And I think it's just really, like, interesting his transcendence, if you want to call it that, where he started and where he's at now. He's just such a cool guy. He's genuine. I really like. We gotta have Hitch. I want him on. We need you to be on here. Yeah. Maybe I don't know if he'll be our first guest. We'll figure out the order for the guests. But yeah, he's a busy guy, and he's doing his own podcast too. I haven't heard it yet. Have you listened to it?
It's good. I've watched all of them.
Really?
I really
is it good? I haven't listened to it yet. I haven't had time.
Yeah. It's one of those things you can just kind of sit down and have it playing and like not realize that you've spent the hour. Like, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, I like to listen to podcasts like while I clean or while I like while you're doing anything, really. It's pretty easy. What else could we talk about here in the first episode?
Well, we were going to touch on the Oscars, but we can do that after.
No, we could touch on the Oscars. You didn't see it live though?
I did not see it live because I work at 5 o'clock in the morning on Monday, so I waited. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. I saw it live and I kind of like, I don't know. Did you see MiDNiTE, by the way?
I've seen both of them and I literally watched them both today. So.
Oh, word? Okay. Yeah. I haven't seen La La Land yet because I just, man, like, I know everyone says it's good and it looks kind of good, but also like really not my thing at the same time. Like, I love Emma Stone. Ryan Gosling's dope. But I don't like musicals. Like,
Make it past the opening musical sequence and you'll be fine. Because when I tried watching it the first time, like a month ago, totally legally, I was given...
You were definitely at the theater, right?
I was given and I walked out because I was not in the right headspace. I had just watched like Split, which I did watch in the theater. And then I went home and I was watching I watched Hacksaw Ridge and I watched Unbreakable. And then I tried watching La La Land right after all that. And I was like, my brain's not in this. The dancing
have to start
started and I was like, can't do it. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, I put it on the back burner and then I started up today. And I was like, this doesn't seem that interesting yet. But like the second you see Emma Stone on the screen, it's good. It's amazing.
I love Emma Stone. The first movie I ever saw Emma Stone in was The House Bunny. Have you seen it?
I have seen The House Bunny.
It's so freaking funny, dude. And like, she's so dorky and awesome. And then to see her go from like the dorky girl in House Bunny and Superbad to like Easy A is my favorite movie by her. She's amazing. She's amazing. So I was so happy she went back Best Actress, but I felt kind of like a poser because I haven't seen La La Land. And so like how much of it is singing and performing?
It's not.
And how much is of it? Is it like just, to me it just looks like a love movie that's a musical.
It's so much more. It's really more to do with people's passions. It's honestly less so to do. It's like there's a love story going around with people just trying to pursue passions.
Make it.
Because it's made by the same guy who made the movie Whiplash.
Whiplash is wonderful.
Yeah, and it's not as intense as that, but it's got the same kind of idea behind it.
Right.
Where it's more about people finding their passions, and it'll definitely throw you for a loop. It's great. It's really good.
I need to see that then,
I liked it more than MiDNiTE.
What?
I liked it more than MiDNiTE.
I'm so sorry if you guys
necessarily
haven't
think
seen these movies.
Yeah,
but
sorry. I'm not going to give any spoilers, obviously.
yeah,
but
obviously.
I don't think that it was necessarily the best movie that came out, but out of all of the movies that were nominated for Best Movie of the Year, it definitely was the most enjoyable of the ones that I've seen.
I saw probably half of the movies that were nominated for Best Movie, and I saw MiDNiTE a couple weeks ago, and it was like the second that it starts, I was drawn into it. I want to know what happened. I really liked, like, part of my favorite thing with movies and TV shows is the character and how they build it and what you can discover about that person or that character throughout, which is literally like MiDNiTE. Like, it's just so interesting. But then when it ended, I'm not going to like spoil anything. I'm not even sure how you could like really spoil the movie. But when it ended, I was really dissatisfied. I was actually really mad. Like, I remember it ending and I was like, yo, fuck this, man. Like, I swore again. That's 2 swears. I was like, yo, screw this, man. I'm so pissed. I need more. I need closure. I need everything. And then
that's why I don't think it deserves Movie of the Year.
It does, though, because listen, this is why. But this is why.
Okay.
Over the course of the next 24 hours, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop thinking about how it ended. I couldn't stop thinking about the entire story. I couldn't stop thinking why they showed certain things and why they didn't show certain things. It literally hit me to my core. I was like, that was it. Like, it's pretty rare that like a movie makes me think that much about it after the fact of me watching it. So I really liked MiDNiTE. I was tweeting. I was like, MiDNiTE, win everything. Yeah. Hashtag Oscars. Like,
I just don't like the way it went down. So
like how
maybe
we
should fill the viewers in if they might not have, like, I'm sure most people have seen this, but
yeah, I feel bad if you haven't seen these 2 movies that we're talking about, but this is just like, this is what happened. I mean, this is just one, like or 2 days ago when you're seeing this. We're going to record these on Mondays and upload them on Tuesdays. That's the plan. But
like, honestly, can you imagine? Okay, so it doesn't matter how bad your life has ever been. It will never be as bad as being wrongfully announced as winner of Best Picture of the Year.
Oh, dude,
and
it wasn't
so okay. So imagine you think, and a lot of people are like, okay, so they say the word out loud, and then somebody immediately runs on stage and stops them. No, they were upstage. They were on the stage. They were giving their acceptance
everything.
Speeches.
They're taking turns.
Were crying. The last guy that went knew. He
sure did. Did you see that?
He was giving his acceptance speech.
You could tell
and then at the
that
end, he was all like, "We lost, by the way."
Well, let's start from the beginning. Of course, everybody has seen this by now. I saw it live, which I feel special about. But it was a situation where, like, you saw Warren. How do you say his last name?
Warren
Beatty.
Beatty. I thought
Warren
it was Beatty.
Beatty. I'm not sure. I have no idea. Warren. We'll call him Warren. The homie is up there with his envelope.
I don't blame Warren.
No, I don't blame him at all, because, and this is why,
it's
when you can tell, I'm a professional body language reader, by the way.
It was so obvious.
Yeah, he is reading it and he's looking over at, I forget her name. You might know.
Viola?
Is it?
No, I'm thinking of somebody else now.
You're thinking
entirely.
Of someone
else.
Her name? I forgot her. It doesn't Margaret, maybe? I don't remember.
It's not Margaret. Oh, now I feel really bad.
I just literally made that up.
For some reason, my brain, nope, we're just going to...
Well, let's focus on Warren. The focus is on Warren. He looks at her for help because he's looking at the envelope like...
This is the wrong card.
It says Emma Stone. Why would it say Emma Stone for Picture of the Year?
Yeah, and then she just gracefully goes, La La Land.
Yeah, like, he didn't want to say it. So... And so it's really maybe I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I knew they read the wrong name right away, but definitely there was a weird exchange when he read the name. And so everyone's seen this by now. So then they all come up there, they're all doing the thing. And here's when I noticed shit was going wrong. The people, I see a person with a black suit and a headset on, and I see 2 of them running back and forth. Yeah. And immediately, like, I am like, something's wrong is happening. There's no way that the production should be on the stage right now at all, ever.
Faye Dunaway. Sorry.
Yes.
Her name is Faye Dunaway.
Faye.
One who read it.
Faye, you done screwed up.
Why are they mad at Faye?
Yeah, well, they should be mad at the person that gave the talent the card. Whoever that was. Maybe it was Leo.
Apparently, I read how this happens. Apparently, there's only 2 people in the entire world who know who the Oscar winners are ahead of time. And they have the printouts and they have them in a briefcase. And one of them is on one side of the stage. One of them's on the other side of the stage. The guy on this side of the stage hands the cards to whoever goes on stage. And then there's a guy on the side stage who verifies whatever was said as it's being said. Damn. So he didn't move fast enough. that boy needed to scuttlebutt across that stage before the cast.
Well, yeah, because they got up there quick too. It's almost like they'd already won like 70 awards that night, so they're like already standing and shit.
Yeah.
No, they weren't, but they were.
No.
It wasn't a big surprise that they won because they'd won so many other awards that night. So,
like, it's a good movie.
Yeah. Well, I can't say if it is.
I know you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I saw Arrival and I saw Moonlight, and I think maybe one of the other ones that was for Best Picture. But they get up there and they're thanking people, and that guy really was saying, like, doing his whole speech, and you can tell he's audibly listening to what they're saying. So I don't know if, like, why he tried to finish his speech and then he goes, oh, by the way, we lost.
Well, I saw him in the back, and the guy with the headset, I'm pretty sure, actually kind of like shows him the card, and then he's like, you know what, we're up here, I'm gonna thank people anyways. And then at the end of it, he's like, by the way, we lost, because I think he just wanted to talk. I think he wanted to be like, they got to talk, I needs to thank people.
I mean, yeah, it was kind of like really a salty thing. And then the other guy, I'm sorry we don't know the names, but the other guy,
the director, I can't remember. I feel bad because I know his name too.
He's
the guy that actually says, no, we're not joking, Moonlight won. That's like the...
I was so happy. I thought he was doing some kind of like Adele Beyonce thing where he was like, by the way, you guys are so good. We want to let you know that you should get this award, but really we have it though. Like, I thought that's what he was doing. And then when he's like, no, seriously, look at the card.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shit, somebody really
that's what I mean. Like, that's heartbreaking. That is right up there with interviewing Call of Duty teams after they lose, you know?
Oh, like, we got to talk about that, by the way. Can we talk about that?
Listen. We can't. Yeah, let's talk about
it. It's a little late. We're going to talk a lot about esports, right, too? Because we're both kind of into that, especially Call of Duty esports. I love, I love following all the teams, but especially love like following obviously OpTic when we go in and play the tournaments. Like I love to see what happens, and the storylines from that. But ESWC happened like, was it almost 2 weeks ago now, or was it a week ago?
Last weekend. Yeah. So it wasn't this weekend, but last weekend.
Yeah, the controversy of FaZe going up, was it by 40 or 50 points in the first hardpoint?
And Clay had full score streaks.
Yeah, they had to win 2 best of 5s, right? In order to win the tournament.
So they were already behind, and like the chances of them taking the whole thing were kind of against them, but I don't think it would have been as one-sided.
Yeah, basically. Like it was, I don't know. There's no saying whether or not they would have won the hard point because 40 points is not that big of a lead, but it is a big, it was a momentum factor. The factor is momentum here. So
yeah, for those of you who don't know, I'm sure most of you do, but basically what happened was that the venue had experienced like a fire near it.
A literal fire.
A literal fire. And literally shut down all the internet. So it took already like an hour to get them playing.
Yeah,
past it was the start time.
Already delayed.
Yeah, so they finally get started. And like I said, you know, they're racking up points. Clay's got the full score streaks, which is huge. So they've got this momentum going. And then the power cuts again. And then it takes like 20 minutes after the power cuts to get them back up again. And then they're like, okay, we have to start fresh.
Yeah, I mean, then you have to. No matter who's up, OpTic or FaZe, you have to replay it. It's happened to OpTic. It'll happen again to other teams. It'll probably happen again in the future to OpTic. This stuff happens.
It was just a very unfortunate time and in Championship Sunday's final matchup.
Yeah. I feel really bad for FaZe, especially Clayster, because I mean, say what you want about Clayster, but he's passionate, dude. I love him for that reason. He's passionate. He's into it. He's a high momentum player. Like that is a lot of momentum. So I could definitely see like why he would be upset. Okay, and you could tell on his face, like when they finally got the players ready to play again, they're like showing them, and Clayster's just sitting there like fuming. You could tell he's fucking fuming. That's three. That's three. And all three of them were the F word.
We now have an R-rated.
Yeah. Dude, we just got rated mature or whatever on you. No, I'm just kidding. But but yeah, so you could tell he's fuming, and then OpTic proceeds to just, I mean, and here's the thing too, is like even like Seth in his post game interview thing was like, oh hell yeah, we're happy that happened. I mean, he's not gonna lie, he's not gonna sugarcoat it. Like, of course they're happy that happened.
You know? Yeah.
But then Crim6 goes on to say in the press conference, he's like, we want to beat them at their best, you know, or something along those lines. Like they don't want to.
Because that's Crim, you know. Crim's like, I don't want to beat them when they're angry, dejected, and feeling broken. We want to beat them when they're, you know.
Well, and two, you also have to factor in that like they just 3-0'd FaZe like hours before that as well.
They did. So FaZe was already like fighting their way back up through losers
So
bracket.
they needed that momentum. So I totally understand why FaZe is upset. And here's what I thought was like super weird. Directly, almost immediately after they lose, the announcer's up there is talking shit in French or whatever. And he's like, FaZe, come here, or whatever for the interview. And interviews an emotional Clayster immediately after getting annihilated 15-3 in map 3 uplink. Like, it was pretty bad. I don't know why they did that. Does MLG do that?
Well, the worst part for me is after that happened, instead of just letting them walk off stage, he's like, no, rest ici. So like, stay on stage. So you just have to sit here and fume, which is going to just add insult to injury. If you are mad, you want to walk off stage, you want to lick your wounds, you want to just chill with your team, you want to have time to compose yourself. And then all that does is make you focus on what happened and then get more angry about it. So obviously that just pissed him off even more. And I don't care what anybody says. That's not invalid rage. That is just passion. That is passion
it really is
in yourself.
And Clay's a passionate competitor. I think that's one of the things that people often not forget, but just people are totally factoring out of this discussion. So I don't think they should have interviewed them at all. I don't think MLG does that. They only interview the winners, right?
They only interview the winners.
I'm not sure
I remember
why.
When MiDNiTE won at Atlanta, I thought it was the opposite way around, but it was actually just that the guy who won, when he gave his speech, he was really angry when he gave his speech. And I was like, oh no, they won. They were just really, really
they're mad at the fans or whatever, which is really confused me.
They were angry at the OpTic fans, which is because he was all like, you guys just fueled us. Congratulations. And it's like,
welcome to sports, bro. Like, if somebody, I don't know. I was, really confused how angry they were at the crowd. I didn't think the crowd was being out of line, personally.
I've heard the crowd be worse.
Definitely have heard the crowd be worse. I've been there when the crowd is worse. Yeah. But, they shouldn't have interviewed Clayster after. No. And then a lot of people were talking about afterwards when they're taking that big picture where it's, the silver, the gold, the bronze, all there. There's a video of somebody at the event, clearly, after they take the picture, Clay gets up, takes his medal off, and tosses it. And he says he tossed it into his chair, which looks like that's what happened. Mm-hmm. And people were giving him shit about that. They're like, oh, you're the worst sore loser ever. And it's like, you just don't understand.
He was just disappointed in himself and just angry at the course of events. Because honestly, I know I'm kind of like that. I don't get angry and stay angry. I get little, as you can see in that video, I get flash anger. I will just lose it for 30 seconds and then it's okay. Obviously he wasn't okay after that, but it's you make little split decisions and just, it's like a cathartic release and then you can move on. And then people were like, oh, you're such a freaking sore loser. But they called it a runners up award. They didn't call it second place. That
was Deserto. Deserto's, they're a little funny in the way that they title things sometimes. They titled the article Clayster throws medal after getting, or throws runner-up medal. I'm like, why couldn't you just call it silver or second? Or
to be fair, they do.
It is a runners-up medal, but I just thought it was pretty funny. Yeah, not funny. I'm not laughing at Clayster, but just the way that they title things sometimes is a little funny.
It's funny.
But people really discount the passion that Clayster has. And I think that obviously it's not professional for you to throw your medal after you win it. But you also have to factor in all the times that people are happy with Clay when he's hyped and happy. Yeah. That's the same. You gotta have both of them. You can't just have somebody
positive. So when people are like, oh, when he does the whole he stands up things and the yelling, everyone's like, yeah, hype Clay. Hype Clay. Well, that's the other side of that. You can't have that much energy in one direction and not have it flip to the other side.
Yeah, exactly. I think that you have to give and take. If he's going to be that passionately positive at times, you have to accept that there's going to be negative. I mean, I'm sure him looking back is like, I probably wish I wouldn't have done that. Wish I wouldn't have threw my medal or whatever, tossed it into my seat or whatever he wants to say they did, because it doesn't look good. But at the same time, I super respect his competitive nature and just the way it was. Absolutely. And I don't know, I think OpTic was pretty classy in the way that they, I don't know, do you watch the post press conference?
I watched a handful of the post ones.
That's one thing I wish they would do at every event. I wish they would do it at MLG. I know they do it at Champs, but I wish that they would have these post event press conferences for all the events, because I think it adds everyone loves the behind the scenes thing. That's why things like Vision are so popular.
Do so well.
And you want to know exactly what they're thinking. And it's kind of I don't want to equate it to UFC, because UFC is clearly a lot different than playing video games, but they'll they'll interview people right after they lose too, or they'll do like post-fight press conferences, so you get to learn what were they thinking throughout the duration of what I just watched. You know, I'm interested in that. So I think that UFC too, like they shouldn't interview. I don't know how much UFC you watch. I personally watch
like,
it
the bigger
a lot.
stuff every now and again.
I watch it a lot. I watch all the major events because I'm a nerd. I just find it really interesting. But they'll like some guy who's just been knocked out.
That's
and
ridiculous.
they don't interview all of the losers, but they attempt to interview them. And it's just like, what went wrong? And you're like, I don't know, bro. I'm in the 9th dimension right now. Like, can you not?
Got kicked in the head.
Yeah, like I just got knocked the frick out, and you're asking me about like what I think about what just happened. Like, you got to give me a second.
Like, I totally agree with it. Maybe like letting them cool down for a bit, then talking to them about it, and even the winners and stuff. You know, like don't get people when they're like super. Well, yeah, obviously you want like the initial thoughts from the winners, but like don't go into in-depth conversation with people from either end of the spectrum because people are bound to say something stupid and not in what they don't mean. You know, like if you go right to like the super serious interviews after somebody loses.
You gotta give that time for reflection, and you gotta give that person a chance to be like, okay, this is, you know, take a little bit of the emotion out of it. This is what happened from my perspective.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's let's super important. Settle.
So I don't know. I think personally the MLG should do those post like match or post tournament press conferences with maybe even like the top 3 teams, or I'm not sure how you'd want to do it. Just certain teams if you want to see what they're thinking, because Call of Duty, especially like events like Call of Duty Champs, are becoming like really a lot bigger. You might have more press people at the event that want those kinds of things. So I think that's one thing that I hope that they start doing more of, because I really like that about the ESWC.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, so
a lot of it wasn't, but that was nice.
Yeah, basically. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to talk on the podcast too about like how stuff goes down at events. When's the next Call of Duty event? Is it
March 17th? Not Atlanta. It's Dallas.
And then Vegas?
No,
Vegas already happened.
Vegas already happened. Vegas is before Christmas.
I think I'm getting it mixed up with a Halo event. There's a Halo event.
There's a Halo event in Vegas
this weekend.
In Vegas coming up.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm super interested. And speaking of Anaheim,
better go.
You're going to Anaheim?
I am. I'm literally going to be booking my flights this week, I think. Nice. And I'm trying to get a press pass from MLG. So I'm waiting on that. Trying.
Good luck. Have fun. I mean, it doesn't hurt to try.
Yeah.
What are
Somebody
you going to
shoot? It was super easy. Somebody said it was super easy. Yeah.
Are you going to shoot stuff for your own channel or just for...
If they'll just give it to me, I'll shoot it for my own channel. But if they're like, we need at least like proof of a team, I'll like, there's enough amateur teams that I would be like, hey, do you guys want like, you know, some footage from like the Friday events or this and that? Or do you want footage from this or that I wouldn't mind?
Sure.
You know, just building out the old repertoire.
That's a good way to look at it. Anaheim's one of the best events you can go to. I'm stuck right now in my head on if I want to go to Anaheim or Champs. I really love Anaheim. I've been to all of the last Anaheims since 2013, except for 1 year when they didn't have it. I forget which Call of Duty it was for. But yeah, I went to last year's, went to 2 before that. It's right by Disneyland. All the restaurants are stupid expensive around there. Because
I was debating Champs as well, but everybody's going to Anaheim. Like I was like, oh, but Champs is where all the really cool stuff happens. But everybody's like, but we're all going to Anaheim. So
yeah,
like, well,
Anaheim's the most like lit for like all like I want to go see a lot of my buddies that I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited. I'm gonna think about it more because I really do want to go to Champs too. And I mean they haven't released that much info about Champs yet.
Do both.
Well, I was thinking about it. It's kind of expensive to do both. So it depends on a couple things. I got to get a couple ducks in a row before.
Tell her down below. Tell her you want to see her at Anaheim.
Dude, I think I uploaded videos of the last time I was at Anaheim. It's a good event. I definitely want to go. But if I don't, you'll have a good time for sure. Yeah. What if we did like an in real life podcast?
That's what I was thinking. Like that's why it would be really cool.
That would be pretty cool.
That'd be really cool. And I'm not even trying to name drop, but like Hector's always like, oh, I'm bringing all of this equipment to the events now for podcasts. We could just be like, you have the professional podcast equipment. Can we borrow this?
I mean, I don't want to take his stuff. Hector likes his things.
Oh, it's true.
I don't want to be a little ass kid and take his stuff. What if I break it? Oh my God, I'd get stone cold stunnered.
Well, we could figure out something.
There's definitely a way that we could do it. If anything, we could bring even just like a simple microphone. Mm-hmm. And a camera, and that's
we could just use my camera and actually just kind
you
of
have like a good camera, right?
Yeah, I have a pretty good camera, and I'll probably rent a better lens for while I'm there. So yeah, we could just do that.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
It's now I mean, I already wanted to go, but
now you really want to go.
Yeah, I do. I like Anaheim too. It's a good event. I like where it is. I had I don't want to say I had the worst Anaheim last year, but last year I went, and I went with Cassie, and I wanted to go to E3. I don't know if they did it on purpose, but Anaheim happened, and then E3 was happening like the next few days during the next week. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll go to Anaheim, which is like 45 minutes away from LA. If you don't know, like you land in LA, 45-minute Uber or whatever out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, well, I'll go to Anaheim and then I'll go to E3 in LA. But I ran into a big problem. I was able to get a pass for E3, no problem. But I had to get a hotel, and everyone books their hotel like mad early because most people know pretty quick if they're going or not. So there's literally no hotels open. I would have had to pay $1,000 a night just for a hotel remotely near the convention center. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to try Airbnb for the first time. This is going to be great. Whatever, I'll just do it. I've heard good things about Airbnb. Let's do this. So I go on Airbnb and I found this place. It was, I forget where it was by. It was like 8 minutes from the convention center. So I was like, no problem. I'll just Uber every time I want to go, and I'll go and check it out. It sounds like a really good time. It's my first time going to E3. Yeah. So Cassie has to go, though. She can't stay and go to E3 with me. So she has to leave, and I'm by myself. And, like, I knew, like, people going. Like, I was going to meet up with friends there. But still, like, I was staying by myself in this Airbnb. So I'm in the Uber on my way from Anaheim to the Airbnb. And I'm talking to the guy. And we're driving through, and the neighborhood's starting to get like a little shisty. Like it's starting to look like a little shisty, and like, I mean, I'm not used to it here in Minnesota. I'm from Minnesota, so I never see bars on the windows ever. But I'm starting to see like more and more bars on the windows, and I'm like, I'm already a pretty anxious person, but I can hold my own. Like I'll be fine, you know. I'll figure it out. Yeah. But the Uber driver says. I told him, I didn't tell him I was going to Airbnb. I told him I was meeting up I was going to my friend's house to go stay with them for a few days because I had my suitcase and everything. Yeah. So he's like, your friend lives in a pretty bad neighborhood here. He literally says it. He's like, this neighborhood's pretty bad neighborhood. I'm like, bro, what? What? So he drops me off at the address, and I'm having a hard time finding it because I didn't know this. And by the way, this Airbnb, I have nothing wrong with this person or their place. It had literally hundreds of good reviews over the span of like a couple years. Like she's been Airbnb-ing this shit for a while. Sorry, fourth curse word. But she's been renting it out. Super good reviews, hundreds of positive reviews that are verified people that stayed there. My first Airbnb experience. I'm like, no problem. So I have my suitcase. I have my backpack. I'm there, and I'm looking around. I'm looking for the address, and it was actually not even a duplex. It was a triplex. So it was like a porch with 3 doors. I've seen those. One of the doors goes to one side, one door goes up, and then one door goes to the other side. So I'm like looking for the address. I'm like at the wrong one. I'm at the wrong door. They have a hide-a-key, and she told me the password for the hide-a-key. So I'm like trying the password. It's not working. No. And and when I got there, I walked past this little Asian dude who was changing his oil in his car. And he's like, who you? I'm like, hi, I'm Ashley. I'm here to stay at the person's name, her place. He's like, oh yeah, up there. I'm like, okay, frickin' A. So I'm like typing in the thing. It's not working, and I'm at the wrong frickin' door. So I have to go like around to the other side, and I get in there. I do the hide-a-key, and the Asian dude's looking at me like, what? You know, he starts asking me when I'm trying to unlock the door. He's like, I see lots of people go in and out. What is this here? I'm like, oh, it's like an Airbnb. You know, you pay to stay for a few days, and then, you know, someone cleans it. And I explained to him basically what Airbnb was, and he was like, oh, okay, like really like shaded out. I'm like, oh my god, I hope this like I'm like gonna be really quiet. I'm not even gonna be here most of the time. Yeah. So I get in there, and it hits me, dude. I get into this house. It's pretty like older house. And it's just, I got so catfished, dude. Like, the pictures on Airbnb looked amazing. They really did. And in real life, it was like 100 years old. It wasn't. It really wasn't 100 years old. But it was like an older place, and they didn't clean. There's like wet towels on the floor. There's like food and stuff. And I'm like, what? And this is where I start freaking out. This is where I'm like, I'm alone. I wish I was with like a friend. And I knew someone in LA, and they were like, you can stay with me if you want. But I didn't want to, like, you know, I'm just such like, I don't want to inconvenience you. I don't want to bother you. So I'm like, my God, what am I gonna do? And I'm just sitting there, and I almost start like freaking out, and then my phone starts ringing. It's a random number. I'm like, oh my God, hello? And it's the girl who owns the place. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, my cleaning lady didn't go there today, but she's gonna be there in just a second. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm expecting like some cleaning lady to show up, and this girl saved me. Dude, low-key, she saved me. I was on the verge of a panic. I really was. I was on the verge of freaking the F out.
It was like perfect timing call.
Yeah, like, you know? She called me, and so then this girl comes, and I was expecting like an older cleaning lady, but this girl comes who's my age, and she is calming me down. Like, she didn't know I was like agitated, but she's walking around cleaning, and she's just asking me, like, she's making like small talk, and I was like, oh my God, I hate small talk, but I so need this right now because I need to stop freaking out. And so she's telling me about like restaurants in the area, things to do. Why am I here? I'm like, oh, I'm going to E3. She's like, oh, I know what that is, but I've never been. I'm like, yeah, me neither. And so like she like really helped me out mentally. She was like, you know, oh, this is a really great neighborhood and stuff. And I'm like, dude, my Uber driver just told me this neighborhood sucks. Like, he drives around LA all day, so I didn't know what to think. But this was like her cleaning lady too. So she was telling me she's there all the time, like in and out all the time. She cleans for a lot of Airbnbs, I guess. I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
There you go.
So what I ended up doing though, you want to know what I ended up doing? I felt so uncomfortable. Oh God, I literally did. I felt so uncomfortable in this little Airbnb because I went to bed that night. I don't even know when I fell asleep. I went to bed and I wake up at like 6 in the morning, which is like 8 my time because of the time difference, because I'm from the Midwest. And I wake up and I hear like this clanking and shit. Like, I can hear like literally every step that the people around me are making. Like, the people above me, I can hear every step, every word they're saying, I can hear. No BS. I can hear them. It sounded like they're in the same room as me. And so the bed was like against this bay window. Oh my God. And dude, this is why, okay, I forgot to tell this part. I'm freaking at the Airbnb that night after she leaves, the cleaning lady leaves. I'm like freaking out. I'm trying to see like what my friends in town are doing. And I see a freaking ambulance like 2 houses down take out some guy who I think may be dead on a stretcher. No BS.
Oh no.
And so I'm like, what the fuck is this normal? Like, I'm from Minnesota, you know, I'm chill. Everything's chill here. You know, I keep an eye, you know, I'm on the neighborhood watch team and shit. No, I'm not. But you know what I mean? Like, everyone kind of looks out for each other where I live. Yeah. And so I'm like, oh my God. And then I go to bed because it was kind of late. I go to bed. I wake up the next morning, 6 a.m. And I hear like all this clanking and shit. I'm like, what is going on? I mean, it sounded like they were in the same room
that's creepy.
as me. Yeah. And I'm like, so I get up and I like peel apart the little curtains, and I see it's the little Asian dude's working on his car again. It's 6 in the freaking morning, and I'm like, I gotta get out of here, bro. Like, I didn't even want to go to E3 that bad at this point. I was like, Jesus, honestly, like, well, because I still had to wait another day for like the big Call of Duty reveal. And I was honestly, and like Hector and them, like, I was gonna meet up with them because they were the ones that had my pass. So they were like in Anaheim still doing something with the baseball team there, and I'm just like, I wish I would have like bothered them because my experience was awful. I don't even know where they ended up staying. I think they like split apart quite a lot to do E3.
Always bother them.
But yeah, so I literally called Sun Country, and they were playing Prince on hold, which calmed me down. And I was like, I need to get the fuck out now. I didn't say that, but I was like, I want to switch my flight. And they were like, oh, no problem. And I was out, dude. Like, I freaking just straight up. I didn't even go to E3, dude. I was so like, sad. Well, I didn't want to go like at all because of where I was staying. Like, I don't know if you have a similar thing, but like, it was just bad vibes. Like, I don't know how to describe. Maybe I'm just like sensitive. Like,
if I had been alone.
Yeah, it would have totally been different if I had someone with me. And I knew somebody in town, but I'm just the type of person where I'm like, I don't want to bother them.
You got to learn to bother people sometimes.
I'm not a botherer, dude. I'm on my own business.
I'm not either. I joke about it, but
what would you have done in this situation? You just sucked it up?
I'm trying to think in that. Okay,
Like,
me being in my shoes, if I had been like, oh yeah, I've hooked up with E3 and I just paid money to stay at this Airbnb, I probably would have sucked it up just because me and
like
my
a money
position.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, me and my
At
position
that
being like,
point,
oh, this is cool opportunity.
I was at like a 9 out of 10 on the uncomfortable scale, though.
Yeah.
So you got to factor that in.
You know, it could have been different once I got there, but I also could have been like, I'm just gonna wait it out till the event, and then I'm gonna like stay at the event all the time. I'll sleep at the event.
Well, that's the thing too. I freaking hate like trade shows, dude. Like, I don't like to walk around. I don't want to wait in line to play your game. I don't care. I'll play it at home. No offense. Like, I don't want to. I'm just not a big person with that. So I don't know. This was like a me problem because I always wanted to do E3, but I didn't really factor into like all the moving parts of doing that. And like, I think being alone, like at that time, like I said, I knew a lot of people that were going, but it was like, I would have it felt like such an adventure to get in touch with them because LA is so different than Minnesota. And it freaked me out, man. It really did. And I got so catfished by the Airbnb, man. Like I really
hate it when it happens.
I sent like Cassie pictures of it, like of what it was on the site and then what it was in real life. I mean, I couldn't, like everything was like creaking and the water, like the shower was plugged. I had to take a shower because I'd been in Anaheim already. Well, yeah, I'd been in Anaheim already for like 4 days. So I go to take a shower. The shower's plugged up. Like I wanted to cry so bad. I was so uncomfortable. I was like,
I'd send my mom a picture and she'd be like, leave.
No, I didn't tell my mom either. I told my mom that everything was fine, but because I didn't want, because if she would have told me to leave too, if I told her how uncomfortable I was, she would have told me like, get the F out.
Also, my mom would have been like, if I told her I was staying in an Airbnb alone, she'd be like, no.
I mean, I told my mom I was staying in an Airbnb. I mean, we're both grown-ass adults, by the way. Yeah, but still, like, my mom loves to know where I'm at every time I travel. Because I've traveled, I haven't traveled that much recently, but I used to travel, like, every month or two, like, take a flight and go stay somewhere. She needs to know my flight, what city I'm going to, and the address and phone number of my hotel. Yeah. Every time. She has to. Otherwise, I can't. I'm a grown-ass. I
don't even live in the same town as my parents.
Me neither. I live on my own. But my mom still, she needs to know.
She needs to know. My mom
It's a mom thing, dude. Yeah. It's a mom thing.
My mom's like, how do you know that these people actually exist? And I'm like, they paid for my flight to California. I'm pretty sure if they wanted to do something to me, there's people in California that they could abduct. Like, I think.
Don't go there. You're going to get sex trafficked. What are you doing? Like, yeah, it's weird. Like, I had to, like, I remember the first, like, thing I went to, I think it was for... I can't remember if it was for Titanfall. It was for a Black Ops 2 DLC capture event that was happening at the MLG offices in New York City. Mm-hmm. And I told my mom, and I'm like, Mom, this company, Activision, is going to pay for my flight and my hotel in New York City. And she was like, who? I'm like, do you know their names? I'm like, well, it's like, it's a company. And so she's like trying to understand like, why am I going out there and what does this mean and how do I know that they're real people and all that kind of stuff. Because like I'd been to like an MLG event before that. I think the first MLG event I went to was in 2011. Cool. But she was like, she had to know like, where are you staying? I stayed at a nice ass hotel too. I remember it's the only hotel I probably remember. It's the Ritz-Carlton in New York City. It was super nice. Had the most comfortable bed I ever slept on in my whole life. But yeah, my mom just needs to know.
Yeah.
She needs to know.
It happens, moms. But, don't take them for granted.
No, never. I love my mother. Shouts to the mom. Mom, if you're watching this, I don't think she watches. Does your mom watch your videos?
I didn't think she did, but then one day she was like, don't vlog and drive. And
oh my God.
Oh, well then. Oh no, the best one. I did some kind of variation on the Chubby Bunny challenge. And she was like, Chubby Bunny, we talked about this 12 years ago. A kid died, Amanda.
Oh my God.
Like an adult.
Wait, a kid actually died from doing the Chubby Bunny challenge?
I don't know if it's one of those things that they died or if it was like an urban legend that got spread around so much,
right.
But it makes sense.
And he had a banana and a Coke and then he exploded.
But like, I could see somebody die doing the Chubby Bunny challenge, to be fair.
Yeah, shoving marshmallows.
Yeah, it wasn't smart. It was like it was like a Call of Duty challenge. I might do another one. It was kind of funny. I wasn't allowed using guns, and every time I died, I had to do a Chubby Bunny.
Oh, dude, I think I did the Chubby Bunny challenge. I think, maybe I actually did the same thing for Call of Duty during Advanced Warfare. I went through this phase where I just did shit like that.
Yeah,
I did. I did like. I think I ended up with like 16 warheads or something in my mouth at one time, which I still feel like damage to my mouth permanently at this point.
Definitely.
I still feel like I can't taste the same after that. Like I literally don't taste food the same way.
No, I believe it. I totally believe it.
But yeah, so I don't know. I think we're almost at an hour. Is an hour what we were thinking of?
I think that's what we were aiming for.
I think we're gonna do these at least the first couple be like an hour. We may make them longer depending on certain guests, hour to an hour and a half. Yeah. But I think an hour is a perfect amount of time to discuss some recent stuff.
Yeah.
And this is a good intro episode. Let us know what you think down in the comment section below. Make sure to follow us on our social medias. You're already on my YouTube channel, so I'll just put my Twitch here. But you gotta go check out.
Everything from mine is Amanda the Jedi. It's really easy.
That's so dope, dude. That you have all the same branding. Like my Instagram is OpTic MiDNiTE, but it has like an underscore. Yeah. And like my YouTube is just MiDNiTE, not OpTic.
I lucked out.
Yeah, you did well with your branding there. So guys, go follow Amanda on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, other things that she has.
Instagram, Snapchat, whatever.
Instagram, Snapchat,
all the same.
All of the social medias, because this is going to be a regular thing. Like I said, we're going to record this on Mondays, upload it every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's the plan. And we will have guests in the future. We'll have like another person down there.
Yeah,
we'll
maybe. Figure out a way.
Yeah, we'll figure out a way, make it work. I'm pretty excited about that. But for now, I think we're good with the two of us. I wanted to make sure we did a good intro episode. I feel like we did. We talked about a lot of cool stuff.
We did.
Told stories. I think we're both pretty good storytellers. So
I think so.
I think this podcast is going to be pretty lit. I hope you guys agree. Yeah. Drop a like. Me too. Me too. So drop a like. Subscribe. Oh, and also I want to point out we are only uploading this to YouTube right now. But it's possible that we'll upload it to SoundCloud because I know YouTube's kind of hard to listen to like on your phone. Yeah. So if you have suggestions of where to put the podcast, I don't know how to put it on iTunes, but that would be cool. Otherwise, we could do SoundCloud. I know you can listen to that like on your phone and not have the actual, like you'd have to have the video open to listen to this on YouTube. Unless you have YouTube Red, which is kind of complicated. So that's where we're at. We'll think about where to distribute it in the future. But for now, right here is the spot. We'll let you know if that changes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you made it all the way to the end, comment what, Amanda, what should they comment if they made it all the way to the end?
Ooh, I'm bad at this.
I'll put her on the spot, dude. I don't
get them to comment, ooh, I'm bad at this.
Ooh, I'm bad at this. Comment, ooh, I'm bad at this. If you made it all the way to the end. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace and chicken grease. FA